No, but I would actually pose a question to Vladimir. And again, I do want to say to Vladimir in general, like I think he kind of hinted at like some personal things, like
Hmm.
he feels bullied or he feels like, which actually I do think that when it comes to like anonymous online people, they can be bullies to a large extent, and it doesn't help the cause at all. Like if someone is wrong, then making fun of them will not help them see that they're wrong. And it also started like I think even in times when he was saying reasonable things, that he was
Oh
getting
yeah.
a lot of like you can call it bullying or just being made fun of, which I didn't really like it. I thought like okay, I mean he is one of the greatest players in history, and uh, at this point, of course, clearly he's saying a lot of things which are very wrong and also unfair. But a lot of times I did feel like the internet was just making fun of him because it felt like an easy target.
Hmm.
But in terms of like what I would ask him is that does he really think this is is or should be considered evidence that someone
No, it's their
glances?
questions. Where were you looking at?
But even questions, if he wants to call it questions, what like that I glanced to the side for 2 seconds
During a speedrun
once in the
game?
last, yeah, like does this real is this the bar that we want to set? I mean, everyone has their own body language during a game. Sometimes it looks unusual, like Arjun. I don't know if you've seen how he plays classical chess over the board. He's like staring into the distance.
Me too.
Hikaru
Yeah,
looks
I'm looking everywhere. It's like
yeah,
ADHD
it's
thing. I do that every over the board game.
no, I mean everyone has body language, and when it comes to over the board chess, of course, there's not really any questions because we can see where people are looking. I understand if he can't see your atmosphere, okay, he gets this thought in his head, but logically, this cannot and should not be considered any sort of evidence.
What about
Maybe
Petrosian? Sorry, I just wanted to plant that thought in your head because it's sometimes used as a rebuttal. I won't interrupt you again.
no, that's I mean, I understand, but they did not determine that based on just a glance, right? Like there were a lot of other factors that chess.com used to determine that. In that case, the case that you mentioned, which I don't want to get into too much, but um, like a glance alone is not indicative in my view. If it's like constant glances over years and years and years and always consistently in the same place, okay, sure, that at least then we can talk. But like this really feels like just reaching for straws, in my opinion.
Hmm. And I'm proving it with eye tracking data. Like it's not like I'm denying, like, how dare you ask where I'm looking? I'm saying, well, I can't account for glance number 16. That glance could have been at, and I said yesterday on the Levitov show, like maybe Queen Elizabeth like walked up the stairs, right? Like maybe that particular, you're cornering me, right? Because like that particular, like, trying to catch me in a lie artificially, and I want to share that segment from one of the trials in a second, but and Christian, I know I don't mean to impinge on your guys'
No,
schedule
no,
or,
no, no, absolutely not.
or your ability to talk. So
No,
please,
no,
I'll
no.
let you share your point.
I think we should continue in a natural flow for as long as possible, or as long as we need to cover pretty much everything. I feel like this again will hopefully stand the test of time and will cover pretty much all the questions.
I really appreciate that. I think he's accusing me of being antagonistic and essentially planting the seeds of a bad faith conversation, which is like actual gaslighting, I think, in its proper usage. He also accused me of having a personality disorder, ironically. And after looking up the term gaslighting yesterday, like you can't make this shit up. Um, so I said, I can't like account for glance number 16, but I can tell you that like 90% of those were literally still looking at my computer. I often look at my opponent's clock, right? During any game. Just like that's just like a place I look at. And one of the things that this has done is maybe question my sanity. Like I don't have the metacognition of my pattern of glances. I don't even know where I'm looking at half the time. I'm not necessarily looking at the like theater of action. If I play e4 takes d5, I'm going to look at that pawn to execute the move. But on any particular millisecond, I could be looking anywhere. So like I do that, and he says to me, "No, you're looking at a third monitor." So I say, "No, I'm actually looking at my screen, and I can prove it." He's like, "No, you're looking somewhere else." So I'm saying, "You're saying I'm looking at a third monitor." No, I never said that. Like it literally reaches this level where he will say something, and 5 seconds later, he will say he never said it, and then claim that he's just asking questions. Then I say, "Okay, Vlad, what are the success conditions?" Right? Because for a prosecutor who's asking a question or interrogating, you need to outline the conditions under which you can disprove his non-assertions or non-accusations, right? And he literally doesn't respond to that. He's like, until you provide me an answer that I am satisfied with, that is his answer, actually. Like, I will keep repeating these questions and I demand an answer. So not only is this repugnant and despicable and just loathsome on the personal level of like, who the fuck are you? That first of all, to talk to me this way. And yes, Fabio, like I really want to take a moment to concede the point that he was not treated well in the initial stages of his campaign. And I think that, online bullies bear some brunt, and for not according world champion. This isn't like the ghost of Capablanca, right? People pretending that he's like 80 years old. He is someone who dominated the chess world very recently. He is a voice that should be heard. And I'm not going to speak for chess.com. Like, I don't know what went on between them. I wasn't part of the process, which is what I told him, which is where he revealed that this is pure vengeance. For he knows that I was uninvolved. But, in content creators or whatever, like, yeah, I think that they maybe fan the flames of this, and that's unacceptable and should be called out. And I'm sorry that he had to go through that, but that does not mean that in any way justifies an act of what I believe is evil at this point. A sustained effort to like assassinate my character that he undertakes as part of like vengeance. I think there are other ways to express your dissatisfaction.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you clarify that? Because I think this is a comment that he made yesterday in Russian language on Levitov Chess, that this was basically like started as vengeance and he was somewhat upset. And this is me reading from a translation I've noticed on, I think, Reddit. He felt he was bullied by the English-speaking world, very closely tied to the chess.com, and to his team, and for that reason he sort of started this whole crusade. Or could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, like
your discussion and your interaction with him on Levitov yesterday.
When we were going back and forth on like quote unquote who started the bad faith dialogue, he was like, well, you started by accusing me of slanderous lies, and don't pretend like you're some, he called it defender of human rights, which is a weird phrase, because you were the one like gleefully watching Hikaru cuss me out and, feed the flames of online bullies during the Tuesday stream after you pranked me, which was totally not, which is like the biggest bullshit ever. I had like 6 cameras on that stream. Fabi, I don't know if you're aware of that, but that was a very dark day.
Fabi
I like pulled an all-nighter. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I actually didn't.
Oh my
I
God.
might have seen something on Twitter about it, but I didn't really
That's-
see
I'm sorry,
it.
the
I
problem.
didn't mean to
This-
suggest like, oh, I'm so important, you should have like abandoned
no,
your
it's,
US championship game.
That's the
I
thing.
did like see some of the Twitter stuff surrounding the whole thing, but I didn't actually watch the video.
It's also very difficult to sort of keep track of everything, because everything happened in the last 2 weeks during the US Championships. I was doing commentary like 6 hours a day, and obviously the preparation that goes into that as well. And then
This is
Fabi
an
was
epic
playing.
story.
So sorry if we're like missing key details in that regard.
Yeah, I think sorry, 1 second. Give me like 10 seconds.
Hey, don't check the sockfish, please. Don't.
Oh, how did you know that's what I'm
Or are
checking?
you using
I have a pattern of doing it.
ChatGPT to answer the question?
Okay, so I'll tell you after the show.